Hello everybody and welcome back to the Sammy Snake Racing YouTube channel. My name's Sam, aka Sammy Snake, aka the fastest snake in the world. And in today's video, we've got something a little bit different for you. So you may know that Gran Turismo 7 has been coined as the real driving simulator. Well, we're going to put that title to the test today because we've got two lap records that have been set in real life. One in the Mercedes-AMG GT3 car around Spa and another in the Ferrari 488 around Monza. And what I'm going to do is try and set a fast lap, bearing in mind I'm an A+ rated driver, one of probably the top 100, top 200 drivers who play this game worldwide, set a lap time and then see how that compares to the in real life lap record. And let's see how realistic Gran Turismo 7 really is. Okay, here we are. We are at Spa and we're in the Mercedes-AMG GT3 car. What I've done, I've set this to what I think would have been similar conditions to what the lap record was set. I've got racing soft tyres on and I've also got BOP. So if you see, that is what the performance of this car will be when I'm going around the circuit. This is a setting in the game that tries to balance all of the Group 3 cars together to all be of a similar level. So I'm going to jump in, get warmed up and see if I can't get close to what the lap record is, and then we're going to run those side by side and see what differences we can spot, if any. So as you can see, I have done 9 laps and I'm coming on to my 10th lap. Well, technically, actually, this should be classed as my 9th lap because the first lap was an out lap. I'd had a 2:17 flat, but I'd failed to get to the 2:16s. And as you can tell from my reaction coming out of that hairpin, I lost a little bit of time and I was quite disappointed because I thought the chances of actually getting a 2:16 were going to be pretty low. But I thought I'll persevere, I'll push. I'm starting to get used to the vehicle. I'm starting to gel with the track, so perhaps we can gain a little bit of time back. You can see there almost a 10th down in the first opening sector, but because I am starting to gel with this combination, like I mentioned, I was starting to find time and it was all about just stringing it together. I've not used the Mercedes very often. It feels like a decent car, but I tend to find that I'm faster in vehicles that I'm more familiar with, and the Mercedes is one that I definitely haven't used a lot. So I think this is going to be very interesting once we've completed this lap, verified the time, and then actually run it side by side next to the in real life lap record. I will give you a little bit of a spoiler before we cross the line. I do manage to get a 2:16, but I'm not sure whether that's entirely realistic. I am fairly fast at the game, but to do that within 10 laps, I'm not so sure. Oof. So there we have it. We just managed to sneak into the 2:16s. I thought I'd messed up that first sector, but managed to claw the time back on that final 10th lap. So now we're going to run both of those laps next to each other and see if we can spot any differences, maybe in top end speed, maybe at braking points, maybe the lines, and see what we can see if there are any differences between both the in real lap time and the Gran Turismo 7 lap time. Now the footage I'm about to show you is actually amazing. You can see the first braking point is 132 mile an hour for the car on the right, which is in real life, and on the left is 128, but it's pretty much exactly the same point. As we come round the first corner, we are neck and neck, taking exactly the same line. As we analyse this lap, what I'm going to do is focus on the straight line speed down the straights, what the top end speed is, and the main braking points. But to be honest, the footage speaks for itself. I don't want to stop it too much because honestly I've just watched this myself and it's pretty crazy. So as we're entering one of the heavy braking zones, we can see the car on Gran Turismo on the left actually starts braking at this point. Hits 162 mile an hour. and the car on the right brakes a little bit later, but at exactly the same speed. The trail braking is very similar. Coming into the corner, the throttle application is very similar, perhaps a little bit more aggressive with Gran Turismo, but the lines and the speed seem to be very, very similar indeed. It's actually remarkable watching these both side by side and being able to look at how the throttle and braking applications vary, and to be honest, they are extremely similar. Now, if I was to redo this again, to be honest, I would make sure that I would use kilometers an hour as the units in Gran Turismo 7, but I didn't know when I was doing these laps that the actual in real life data that we had was in kilometers. But let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do more videos like this comparing the real life laps to the Gran Turismo 7 ones. Then I can always make sure to do another lap with the units correct, so we don't have to use a converter at any point. And speaking of a converter, I'm going to do the same down this straight. We're going to compare the top end speed and the braking points coming into this final heavy braking zone. You can see the pretty much neck and neck, both cars. It's flat out round that fast left-hander, and then as we approach the braking zone, the car on the right in real life gets up to 161 mile an hour and brakes just before the Gran Turismo car, and we brake 158. So again, slight discrepancy in the overall top end speed, but nonetheless, as we're coming over the line, you're about to see how incredibly close we are right up until the line. Now, you might be wondering why the times don't match up to the delta. That's purely because the lap time started at this line in the real life lap record. But I started the cars at exactly the same point, and then as we completed the lap, you could see we were pretty much at exactly the same point after a full entire lap. That is actually mind-blowing to me. Right, okay, time for test number 2. We are at Monza. We're in the Ferrari 458. I believe the real life lap time was actually in the 488, according to sources online. But this is the closest thing we could get to testing the exact same conditions. And we've done what we did at Spa, ideal qualifying or race conditions, to racing soft tyres and BOP on, as you can see. What we're going to do, we're going to jump to the track. Our goal is to hit a 148 flat or lower. I'll give myself 10 laps to achieve that, but if I achieve it before that, I will cut the test short. And I'll let you know if I feel like I could have gone a little bit faster, if that's the case. Okay, let's jump in and see what happens. So once again, you join me towards the end of this stint. You'll notice that I had done a 148 flat, and on this penultimate lap, I actually managed to do a 147.9, which I was fairly pleased with. Saying that though, I did persevere and continue to do the full 10 laps, as I could tell there was more lap time in this car. I'm not sure how much of a difference there is in real life between the 458 and the 488, but this is the best comparison I can do with the tools provided to me. I'm usually fairly fast at Monza and can get into the top 50 times when it's a daily race. So maybe we have to take into consideration that if a track suits you better, you should expect to be a little bit quicker. But then again, we're talking lap records here, and these should be extremely quick. And really, if I'm being honest, no matter how quick I am on the game, I'm not one of the world's bests, and I shouldn't be able to beat the lap record within 10 laps. So I'm very interested to see how much time we're gaining and where that is when comparing it to the in real life lap record. Okay, let's get into it. First thing I've got to say is, unfortunately, with the footage of the in real life lap, there's no braking input, so we can't compare braking zones. But what we can do is compare apex speeds and top end speeds at the end of the straight. You'll notice that the start-finish line starts a lot later in real life. That's why we've married it up this way. So coming into the first corner, there's a 10-mile-an-hour difference coming down that straight. But if you notice the difference in the racing lines, it looks like you're able to be far more aggressive over the curbs. So what you're going to notice in this lap analysis is the 488 on the right is a lot faster in a straight line, but cannot attack the curbs or cut the corners as much as you can in the game, so therefore loses a lot of time in the corners. And I think just in general there's more grip within Gran Turismo. As you'll notice, coming around these two right-handers, we can carry an extra 2 mile an hour around that first right-hander, but then an extra 5 mile an hour coming out of the second one, which is a huge difference, to be honest. But then by the time we get to the end of this straight, because that 488 is so incredibly fast in a straight line, it's still going faster. We then gain coming through these S's as we can attack the curbs, and we're coming out of the corner 10 mile an hour faster. Now, what I want to point out is I mistakenly thought the lap record was a 1:48 flat, but when I actually looked back at this lap, I realised that it was a 1:47.7. So again, we have matched the lap record almost identically, and you'll be able to see that when I do a freeze frame at the start finish line compared to both laps. So a fascinating result again. So there we have it. What fantastic results. I never expected it to be this close, and I didn't expect it to be as enjoyable as it was to make. So to summarise those tests, I would say that the main difference is in how you can attack the curbs in Gran Turismo. But other than that, the game seems to be extremely realistic. One thing I didn't take into consideration when doing these tests is the fact that you can alter the downforce and the suspension of the cars. So I suspect that the Ferrari 488 may have been running a low downforce setup, which makes sense around Monza because that is a very fast circuit, which could have explained the big difference in straight line speed and cornering speed compared to the 458 we were using in game. Either way, I enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If I could ask you a favor before you go, leave a like and make sure you subscribed, and leave a comment below if you want to see more content like this. But for today, it's over and out from the Racing Snake, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care and thanks for watching.